Hello, this is Gene. I want to talk about what happened last night at Berkeley. But before I get there, I want to just talk about something I was going to talk about before what happened in Berkeley. There were several female anti-feminists on YouTube right now. Several of them are also talking about putting out videos that says why they're not feminists, which is great. They should do that. But what I want to come across is that there are several of them have been called like Nazis or white nationalists, and it really talked about that. Blair White talked about it. She is going through the trans right now, the change, because she's I don't know what the word is. She's transgender. That's what it is. So she's a boy that's transing over to being a female, and she talked about this. And some of my videos, a lot of people think that maybe I am also a white nationalist. So I want to talk about that really quick, and I'll talk about Milo and how that it actually relates, because Milo's been called the same thing, even though he's not. He's clearly a Jew. So it's very hard for him to be a white nationalist, especially if he's a full-blooded Jew. He's not even white. So anyway, so I've changed some of my formatting over the last 2 months. I've been talking about the alt-right topics. So obviously people think if you're talking about that, you must be all about alt-right. And if you're all about alt-right, you must be also a white nationalist. I don't necessarily, I don't concern myself with that label. I'm not a white nationalist. Before I even changed, or not changed, or just changed my new views, I had a video about called Americanism, and I'll link it below. I believe that everybody here who's here legally, who are Americans, we should be doing things for each other. But at the same time, I have no problem with the majority of this country, which is still white, to say, hey, we need to change things up, that the demographic situation is causing problems, whether it's illegal or legal. Mostly it's illegal. If you look at the stats, it's most of the crime and stuff is from illegals. But even those who are here legally, we have a problem in the black community, that everybody knows this. They don't want to talk about it, but it's clearly there, so we need to do something with that. But as a white nationalist, I wouldn't say, hey, let's get rid of all the black people and all the Hispanics, even though they're here legally or they're citizens of this country. I'm not somebody that believes in what Richard Spencer talks about, which is peaceful cleansing. I don't believe that. But what I do believe is that a country that was, and I'm going to say it because a lot of people on the left don't want to hear this, a country that was founded by white people. You can talk about how we did that, but we came here, we settled it, we conquered it, and we formed this country, which is almost 95% or 99% white at that point. Now, there were native people here, okay? But we could talk about what white people did to the natives. But the problem is we've been telling ourselves all along this country is all about immigration. We're all immigrants. And to a point, that's true. The founders were not immigrants. They were settlers. And when they had to, they conquered the land and they became the United States of America. And during that time, we needed to get more people here because the country was vast and uncharted, and we needed more people here, and we immigrated hundreds, millions from Europe, and almost all of them were white. So, and early on, our immigration, it talks about white. So it's not, yeah, did we change it overall or later? Yeah, right when I was born, like in 1965. So this country is a white country, and we should not be called racist or saying that we're white supremacist or that we're white nationalists, because that's what history is. Now, some people on the left, they want to change all the history. They wanted to revise it to what they want it to be. They want to tear down statues of our great forefathers like Jefferson or Washington, because they might have slaves, and they weren't woke enough to know that you shouldn't do things like that. Because slavery must be a good thing when almost every white man in this country believes that it was abhorrent and which has never happened. But no white people here have slaves. So So my point simply is this, is that no, I'm not a white nationalist. Do I understand some of the things that the alt-right is talking about? Yes, that's why I talk about it. Do I think that a race has some meaning? Yes. Do I think that there's a difference between the races? Yes. But do I think that all that can be overcome? Can we teach our people better or whatever, that everybody can have the same opportunity? Yes, I believe that because I'm a liberal and I believe things like that. I want to help people. But when we as quote unquote the majority or the white person or the white man in this country that have been told for the last 30 or 40 years that we're the problem, and it's just destroyed the family unit. Now we can blame the old enemy here. If I was the alt-right person, I'd say it's the Jews, it's the Jews, it's the Jews. But we have a responsibility as well. We should know that we're smarter than what's going on, that we should celebrate life. And what I mean by that is that abortion should not be legal. It only should be legal if the woman has been raped, and if it's, the woman might possibly die in childbirth. But we know that that's not the normal issue here. It's been used as birth control, and that needs to stop. It's killed millions of black babies, even though they outgrow us population-wise. They have more babies than white people do, who are married to other white people. They end up killing half of them as well. So they've stayed at that 13.2 level forever. It's not like they're not. You would think that they would move up to the next level, because we see that they always have a lot of kids, but they also somewhat abort a lot of them as well. Now, I guess that's a good thing. I guess if you don't want to pay for all this stuff, and the people on the left won't find out or won't talk about the history that started all this stuff, the eugenics that Margaret Sanger was. They won't talk about stuff like that. Just leave it all aside, and they'll lionize her in public, and nobody cares about like that. But clearly, we have to shut down or take a statue of Jefferson off the University of Texas because it's oppressive or it hurts people. So it's just this. These are things that happen, and we as the majority, or if you're a white person, that like Van Jones said, it was a white lash. Now that's crazy. More white people voted for Romney, but there is something that's going to go happen on, because the left is imploding right now, and what we saw last night is just another sign that they're imploding. Now we can say again, as white people say, well, somebody's behind that, and Soros is funding all the Antifa and all that stuff. Okay, but what are we going to do as white people? Are we going to do anything about it? Are we going to march in Washington, D.C. and say that, we need to do things better or whatever? Or are we just going to sit there and just sit with our huge 75-inch TV or be on the internet all the time and we just don't know what's going on, that we're so nihilistic that we don't give a shit, we have no goals in our lives, we don't tell anybody about us, about our history, about the greatness of quote-unquote European people, and because we get shut down when we talk about stuff like this. They're saying, oh, you're racist, you shouldn't, stuff like that. Really? You can talk about everybody else, about how great samurais are in China or in Japan, or the warrior code of the Zulus, or whatever. But we talk about white issues or white history or something like that, then, oh, you guys, you're the oppressors, have always been the worst of the team. And we've been told this, and people are changing. Our universities are just blaming white people, and specifically white men. And it starts so early, and I don't want to get into a big tangent about this, but it starts so early that men, young boys, are cucked at such a young age, and we see our testosterone has gone down, that we become feminine in nature. And that's not how this that's not how this world works. We don't need to be exactly the same. There's a difference why men do what they do and what women do what they do. But we should celebrate the family. So can we solve it? Yeah. Can we do it? We don't, kill anybody. We're not going to have like some sort of ethnic cleansing in this country, but we can celebrate families, have 2 or 3 kids, give them responsibility, go to the parent nights at school, look at the curriculum that they're teaching us, And when they say stuff that clearly is not common sense, that wants to blame, that it starts infiltrating into our school, the pseudoscience of feminism and their theories, we need to stand up and say this is not what we want in public education. Why is that allowed, but creationism isn't? Not that I am a fan or believe in creation, but seriously, there is no proof of that, and there's no proof of anything that those feminist theories say. We do not live in a rape culture, okay? We do not. There is no such thing as a pay gap. It's an earnings gap. But we just sit there and don't do anything about it because we don't want to offend women. And it goes from that because women still in this country think that they're an oppressed class, and so then you got the other oppressed areas, or they get upset with white women because, well, you can't say that because I have this and this and this. So it's funny when a gay Jew gets his speech shut down from people on the left saying because he's white supremacist or he's a white nationalist or he believes this shit. When he clearly is there to, it's like a humor thing, to educate, because these kids have been taught so many different things that come from one side and they've never really been exposed to anything else. And the great things about the internet is that a lot of these kids are getting that, and they go and they talk to Milo all the time online and saying, I can't believe this stuff was going on. So it's all related because because Milo gets the same insults about him. So nobody's really come on my small channel and said that I'm a white nationalist or a racist or anything like that. Well, I think one person did when we were talking about the differences between the races. Basically saying I was racist for saying what I was saying that, when I was just saying I'm just reporting scientific fact. You can take that for what it's worth, but the truth is that there are differences between the races. In this country, the United States is a white country, but it's also different than a lot of other white countries. So I'm fair to say that. My only thing is that if you're here legally, that you need to be an American first. It's not this, okay, I'm going to put my Mexican flag out there and I'm going to burn the country or the flag, our flag, because you're upset about Trump being elected or something like that. You're not an American then, okay? And I'm not going to go to war with you. If you were just born here, that may change. I mean, that may change. So, it's a lot of this is a bit of a rant, but I think I just wanted to make sure that if anybody thinks that I'm a typical alt-righter and I believe white supremacy and all that stuff, I'm not a white nationalist either. I believe we're all humans, especially if you're American. If you're legally, I'm here to support you. All I want to say is that if there's issues that white people that uniquely affect them, they should be heard, and they should be allowed to be talked about, and should not be taken off the public square because we're the majority and our views really don't mean anything because we have all the money, we have all the power. If that was all true, we would have the same problems that we have in the white community. We'd be doing things with our great power. So this is not me saying that white people are better than black people or white people are better than Hispanic people. I think Western culture is clearly the best of all time, and that's almost 90%, 95% white. So what does that mean? Does that mean that I think that we are better? I think our culture has been better. Yes, we've had problems, but we solved them. We stopped all these things, and we still, because we want to be happy. We want to help people. Anyway, that's all I have today. If you have any questions or anything like that, let me know. Just share this video and give me a like if you want, and we'll talk later.